Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Between Friends. I'm Eileen Roche, co-founder of Dime, and I'm thrilled that you're joining me here today. We're going to talk all about those garments that we like to wear in the fall because it's sweater weather, right? I see we have a lot of people joining us, and Dawn Chase from Virginia, she says, happy to be here hanging out with all my ghoul friends. I love that. Thanks so much for that comment. Super fun. We are going to talk about quite a few different substrates. And this is the kind of garment, right? The kind of fibers that we're really attracted to in the fall because they're so comfortable. They're often stretchy, and many times they're nubby. So that can be a real challenge for embroiderers. So let's go ahead over to PowerPoint. And here you can see that's what Dawn was talking about. Ghouls just want to have fun. That's a design that I digitized. How much fun. All those fonts. I just did that whole thing in our Perfect Embroidery Pro. So much fun. But the topics, right, the actual fibers that we're going to talk about, I kind of have a boring list here for you. Not so pretty, but let's go ahead through it. Oh, well, of course. Today's program is going to be brought to you by a product, and that is Hoopsetter. Now, Hoopsetter was designed to make hooping bulky things easily. And why are they different? Well, when they have all that bulk, it's difficult to see or feel the hoop, inside of all that fabric. So hoop setters are just perfect for sweater weather. They just go together. So we'll take a look at that whole process. But there's more than just the hooping, right? There's the design selection and the stabilizer choices that you'll make to have beautiful embroidery on, fabulous fibers like sweatshirts, waffle weave. Now, you'll know that is thermal wear. Thermal underwear, is now often used in outer garments, and French terry, fleece fabrics, sweater knits, and minky. Now, minky, I just learned something pretty recently that minky is a type of fabric and not a brand. Now, our friends at Shannon Fabrics make Cuddle fabric, and that's a brand of minky. So minky is 100% polyester. It's a microfiber, and it has a soft plush texture with pile. That is what really defines minky Cuddle fabrics. It has a nap to it, and they're a directional nap, just like velvet. You put your hand, when you brush one way, the fibers all lay down, and when you brush the other way, they all resist and stand up, and it can cause shading and like kind of zebra stripes. It's very desirable. It can also come with patterns like dimples and houndstooth and that type of thing. It is a challenge to embroider. It's wonderful to quilt, believe me, but to embroider, you just have to take some extra steps so that you can tame that nap and have beautiful embroidery. Like, let's take a look at this image here of a beautiful monogram on a blanket. This is a type of minky, and notice all that pattern, right? It has hills and valleys, kind of like a corduroy, right? So you're going to have some lower areas of the nap and some raised portions, and it has a distinct pattern. So I tackled this by using a water-soluble topper, but also adding our nap blocker behind the monogram. Now I can select almost any kind of design that will stand out on this textured fabric. And here's how you do it in Perfect Embroidery Pro. So let me pop this video up so you can see. You're just going to select the, I'm going to select the text tool. I've already made the monogram, and I'm going to just bring those letters a little closer together. And then with the select tool, I will right click and select utility, create nap blocker. And it's that easy. I could change the distance around, like how much nap blocker I want. I could change that and have a lot more of the nap blocker extending beyond the monogram, but I don't think that's always necessary. So as you can see here, what I decided at the end was just to have it extending a little bit beyond the monogram. And it's just gorgeous. It just looks great. So the key to successful embroidery in my mind, with nap blocker is to match the nap blocker color sequence to the fiber that you're stitching it on. And you can see here, so here I have it hooped, and you can see it's stitching. It looks ugly on the screen, right? Because it's blue and red. But in reality, I chose a white, beige thread. Let me just back that up a little bit. A beige thread that matched the fiber itself. Can't seem to get that to go back. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay. So now you can see, and I do use a topper, especially for something that's this nubby. So yeah. And let's see. Catherine says that she made a purple hippo with the fuzzy stuff, and she placed a ripple flower on it. And I guess your granddaughter still has it. That's cool. So let's see. And Wendy, you want to know, is this the same as knockdown stitches? Yes, that would be a different term for it. And Cora, thanks so much for your kind compliment. Happy to share what we know here at Dime. It's no good if we just hold it here. So I'm going to take you to the overhead cam and show you an example of a cuddle fabric that we just stitched. So here we have, notice the pattern on this little rosettes. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, it's so soft. Just so soft, really lovely. So we stitched the name Emma. We did use a topper. And why do you use a topper? Well, I just, to me, the topper doesn't really have a function during the embroidery, except that it just tames that nap and just holds it out of the needle and the embroidery foot's way. Because really, the heavy lifting is done by nap blocker. That is what is going to permanently hold down that nap. And we did baste our topper to the fabric. And then, of course, our final thing is to stitch the name Emma. So isn't that fun? So easy to do. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at, you could see, here's my topper. That's probably a better illustration that you can see. When we're really flat, it's hard to see all that, right? And then my white thread is the nap blocker, and that's sitting right on top. And then eventually, I'm going to tear this away and rinse away the remainder. And all you will see across the room, let's say on the corner of this blanket, would be the name Emma. So great little tip there. Always, always helpful to do that for Minky. That's how I would handle Minky and Cuddle and all of those plush fibers. So let's see. What other questions we had? Moved a sewing machine. And Philback, you moved a sewing machine to your long arm so you can sew and watch. Don't want to miss the live. Oh, thanks for doing that. Sounds like a lot of work moving all that furniture, right? So now I'd like to take a look at some sweater knits, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look. I have 3 pretty grays. It's really deep gray. It looks almost black on camera, but it's actually very dark. And this is a boiled wool. So it doesn't really have that much texture. And I didn't even need a topper on this. I just stitched it right on that boiled wool. I did use a cutaway, a black cutaway, just in case, I didn't want a white cutaway to be visible from the right side or during wearing. Now, on this thin cable knit here, this fine cable knit, which is really very attractive, right? Isn't that lovely? It's quite stretchy. So see how much stretch is in there? So that can be a little challenging. And what would we embroider on that? Well, when I saw that sweater, I could only think of Laverne from Laverne and Shirley. So we created the letter L. But before we do that, let's go ahead and use the embroiderer's helper to help us place it so we know exactly where to place it. And, it's handy on a garment that opens, right? Because, you don't have to work to find the center at all of the garment. And I'm just going to align my embroiderer's helper with the center of those buttons. And then I'll take my L, and this is a small. So I'm going to take my L and place that template, aligning it right there with that small word and arrow pointing to the inside of that notch. And when that's all lined up, then I know I am in the right position. So I do want to fuse a cutaway stabilizer. This is our no-show fusible. And see how you can see that shine on the one side? So that's the glue side. Notice this side is flat. There's no shine on that side. So if you have a roll of this and you're not sure how to fuse it on, look for that sheen. That's where the glue is. And we're just going to take a pressing board here. Hoop and press pad. These are so versatile. We love those here. And I probably should not have my template on there, but we'll just kind of cheat. Well, I would advise you to put the stabilizer on first before attaching the template. So don't do as I do as I say. Okay, but we're just going to do this really quick. And my cord is caught. There we go. All right, we're just going to fuse that in place. It only takes a couple minutes. You just want to have it fused down during the embroidery process. Afterwards, after we stitch, I am then also going to apply heat again. And when I do, that will activate or deactivate the adhesive for a moment. I'll be able to just pull it off. So now I want to go ahead and take my hoop. And I'm going to, and now, I have PAL right here, so I might as well use it. I don't always have to be on a hooping mat. I can just line up these marks on my hoop. And there we go. That's pretty good. And then just open up my cardigan. Now remember, my stabilizer is all fused to the wrong side of the complete design area. So I don't have to worry about a portion of the sweater being captured in the hoop without any stabilizer. And I'm just going to move my shirt so that I'm aligning that template with the laser and then place this right on top. Now, your snaps are here, so you have to be careful that you can work the hoop around the snaps, right? So that's pretty important. Okay, next up, we're going to hoop this big bulky sweater. And you'll see there where hoop setter really comes in handy. Okay, but this is ready to go to the machine. Now, because this is such a fine gauge, I would not use a nap blocker on this. I would only use the topper. And I would lay that, I would attach this to the machine, center my needle over that crosshair, remove the template, and then add the layer of topper, the water-soluble topper. And then that would be ready to stitch. Okay, so now let's do this big bulky shirt, and we can get this hoop pad out of the way. And this is a man's XL, and we're going to stitch bears on it. He's a Chicago Bears fan, let's say. And on this, we're going to use our center chest template, and we'll fold this in half. Just bear with me for a minute. We're going to mark that center at the neckline. That's where I mark it. I'm just making sure that all my layers are nice and flat, and that I'm really finding, the center mark from the neck all the way down through the waist, right? Because if you are askew, then so your embroidery will also be askew. Okay, and I'm just going to go over here and grab a template. Our center chest template works really good for this application. I know you think, oh man, you need so many tools when you do embroidery, and you do, But when you have them, oh my goodness, it makes all these projects so easy to accomplish, and they give you the confidence that you're going to be successful. And isn't that what's really important? So now I've placed a template right there. I'm not a template, a pin on the center to mark the center. And next up, I'm going to take my template and I'm aligning that curve with the bottom of the ribbing and the center mark with the pin that I placed. And now I'll take that template, and again, I want to do the same thing. I want to align the vertical line on the design template with the item template. And I can verify that with PAL. Now, I didn't line up my shirt with PAL, so it would be best to do that first, right? Oh, on and off. I'm playing games over here. Okay, so as long as I am aligned with the crosshair on the item template, on the center chest template, and then when I place my design template adjacent right underneath of it, making sure that that vertical line continues through the design template, then I know I am nice and square to the shoulders, and when this garment is worn, it's going to look professional. Then I remove that and go to the machine, centering that in the hoop. So let's go ahead and hoop that. And we're going to, now we're going to use an 8x8 hoop. And I'm going to get my hoop setters. And now in this instance, believe it or not, I'm going to use this heavy cutaway because that text is really pretty stitch heavy, right? It's got a high stitch count. So I'm going to place my hoop setters in the corner. So what does that do? So notice how my frame just sits right in there. It just nestles right in there. It doesn't really move. It just guides that frame in place. And then I'm going to take my stabilizer and I'm going to cover, the whole thing, right? Hoop setters, it's going to, bounce up, curl up a little bit, but that's okay. And then I'm going to take my garment and I'm going to slide it in. Actually, no, I didn't do this right. So we're going to slide it in first, and then we're going to add our hoop setters because that will allow us to make sure everything stays right where it's supposed to. Remember when I said these big, bulky fibers? This is exactly what I was talking about. Right here, I got a sleeve here caught behind the hoop. So we got to pull that out, right? We want to make sure that the back of the shirt is all flat, that there's nothing caught underneath. And then I'm going to put my hoop setter in. And if you're like me, do you do this at home where, you think you have it all down and you almost get done and then you're like, oh no, I did that wrong, right? So it's okay to take your time hooping to get it just right. Okay, now we have those hoop setters in there so that you can see. And now when I add my stabilizer, I don't have to worry about it hopping out of place. It's just going to be right underneath the design area. And I'm going to pull that over. When I say pull that over, what I'm doing is I'm pulling the garment. I can feel that it's centering into the hoop. I can feel the outside of my hoop, and I can see where those hoop setters are, right? They are keeping the garment elevated above the hoop. So I still have a little bit more way this way. There we go. And then we'll just take that hoop, and then I'm going to remove that pin so it doesn't get caught on the metal. And then I'm just going to sit that right inside of those hoop guards and drop it down. And now I am ready to go to the machine. Everything is nice and flush. And of course, I'm going to insert my hoop shield, right? This is what comes with your hoop, separating the top from the bottom. And I'm going to put that underneath and carry that to the machine. And when I do, I'm going to nest the rest of this up on top. Now my hoop setters have removed themselves. They've released themselves from the bottom of the hoop. So I'll pull them out. And then I'm just going to take my time and work this and get it all nested above. And I want to make sure that I pull those sleeves out, because right now, look at all that bulk, right? So we got to get this all under control, and we're going to find that sleeve. And remember, this is an extra large, so this is a large garment. There's a lot of fabric here. It's a bulky knit, but boy, it's going to be comfortable to wear, and it's going to look beautiful. It's going to be very professionally embroidered, and whoever wears it will be proud to wear it. So now I can go to the machine, and everything will be out of the design area, nested in this position, and I won't have to worry about anything falling into the sewing field. I could use hoop guard if I wanted to, but that's a whole nother topic, right? Okay, let me see if there's any questions. All right, Ann Philbeck, she says she needs all the help that she can get with tools. Me too. I love tools. I mean, I just love tools. And Mary S., will we be selling magnetic hoops for the Radiance large hoop when it comes out? We most certainly do plan on creating a magnetic hoop for the Baby Lock and Brother machines when the machine is available, and it will take some time after that machine is available for our hoops to be released. So just know you can have confidence in Dime that we're going to continue to offer magnetic hoops for all of your embroidery machines, especially those new ones that we just love to can't get our hands on them, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see. So simple, yeah, Dawn says it's so simple to get precise placement with the PAL 3. Absolutely, really very, very helpful. Okay, so let's go back, and we have some other items to look at. Now we did the grays. So let's look at some waffle weave. I'm going to unhoop this because I'm going to need that 8x8 again. And I'll just put that over there. And we're going to pretty much do the same technique for this, a woman's sweatshirt. And this one is celebrating. Oh, I thought I put I didn't find the center, so let's do that now. That's important, right? Can't start without finding the center. So we'll fold that in half. Like I said earlier, I'm aligning my seams so that my side seams, so I can make sure I'm dead center. And this is a really bulky knit. It's nice, but it's bulky, so that's a challenge to hoop, right? And here we'll place a pin in the neckline right here to mark our center. Okay, easy enough. And then we'll take our garment. I'm going to move this hoop out of the way for now. And again, place that template right on it. Now notice, this is a woman's extra large, so that's the template that I chose. And I'm going to line up the shirt with the beam on PAL. I have my vertical line aligned with the center mark. Not quite, but there we go. Now we are. And all I have to do now is get the design template. And this is Granny Camp 2024. And we'll just place that there. Kids love that, right? No parents, no rules. They can have ice cream for breakfast. Maybe not, but anyway. So again, now this is a kind of a nubby inside. So I would use that same cutaway that we used on that gray sweater. So this is a soft, medium weight tearaway. And this is our Exquisite by Dime, and it comes in a 12-inch by 10-inch roll. It also comes in a 20-inch. But it is so helpful to have these markings on the end, these forever labels, because once you open up this roll, you really don't remember or know, and you can't identify what type of white stuff this is. Now, you might know that it's a cutaway because you can't tear it, but you may not be sure what weight it is. So our forever labels keep that with the tube, with the core itself, which is just great. And that's what we use for lots of sweatshirt embroidery. Okay, so now we have that all set. We can take our pin out, right? And we're going to do the same thing. Well, this time, maybe we should use the totally tubular hooping station. Shall we use that? Because that does make hooping these types of items a lot easier because it's tubular. So let's bring that into the space. And we have that right here. Okay, now my PAL normally would be attached here, right? And it's not. So I'm just going to turn that off for right now. I'm going to somewhat center my hoop on the totally tubular hooping station, but you're not really seeing the whole thing. So let's see, we can come down a little bit. There we go. Now you get to see the whole hoop. And I'm going to use my hoop setter. Hoop setters. They come in packs of 2. They're only $29.99. And they're indispensable. You'll use them over and over again. You'll keep them. What we do is we store them on the magnetic top. Here, I'll show you. We just store it. Do I have another one? Okay, we just store it just like this. We hang them on our wall. And we have the hoop shield in between, and often we have the hoop magnetic side out because it's hanging on pegs, and so it all stays together. And then we have the hoop setters just sticking right on it, and that way we don't lose track of them, because we lose track of a lot of things here, a lot of moving parts, right? As you can imagine. I know your studio is probably tidy, but here we're always doing a lot of different things. So we try to stay tidy, but there's a lot of hands. Okay, so now we have, our stabilizer just kind of hovers above, but that's all right. That's okay. Now we're going to take it hem first, because that's the easiest, the widest opening, right? And we're just going to dress that hoop. And sometimes that happens with the stabilizer. That's all right. That's okay. I have my hands inside, and I'm, pulling the garment so that it is sliding over the hooping station. And now I'm going to put my hand in there and pull that stabilizer back in place, make sure that it's covering the hoop. And you can peek inside and make sure that it is, right? And now I can pull this down a little bit. Now I'm going to pull it all the way as far as I can so I get just the ribbing. I can feel my edges right there. And this looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. I have a lot of space over here so I can move down. Now, so my hoop setters are in this area, right? This side of the hoop, here and here. And my attachment is over here. So I am going to take my hoop and I'm going to place that right inside those hoop setters. I'm going to feel my fabric, drop it down, and then I just need to make sure it is aligned and attached. And it's that easy. Now, what's so nice about totally tubular hooping station, it's easier to pull out those sleeves, right? And to nest the fabric, the whole garment inside out, because it's in a tube, it's opened, right? It's not just flat on my work surface. So I'm pulling that sleeve, and then I'm going to take the garment, the back of it, bring it up over top. There we go. And now you can see my sleeves are out, right? They're not going to get caught in the design, as I'm stitching. And now I'll just, slide my hoop shield underneath. I can just lift it up by the hoop. There we go. And slide it. And now when I go to the machine, I'm going to transport it over there. Now you just heard the hoop setter release from the bottom of the hoop, which is exactly what we want. It's not going to stay with the hoop. Once you pick up the metal frame of the hoop, it separates from the hoop setter. Okay, so we're good to go. We're going to attach that to the machine, center our needle, rotate the design if necessary, and stitch away. And you'll have a garment all ready for granny camp. My granddaughter is, she's a little young yet for granny camp. And frankly, I'm probably petrified to have granny camp. So we'll see how that goes in a couple of years, right? All right, so now what's up next? Well, let's do this French terry. I'm going to change stabilizers. So now we have a French terry. Let's take a look at this. It's a hoodie. And, it has that texture on the back. That's how you can identify French terry. Let me come up a little bit. I guess you're not really seeing that, but you all know what French terry looks like, right? It's a luscious fabric. It's often cotton. It can also come in a cotton blend, cotton polyester blend. It's quite nice. And I'm going to press on the wrong side the no-show mesh because that is, I think, a sturdy enough foundation for this rather lightweight French terry. And the design I'm going to put on there is a complex fill. It's not all that large. So all I'm doing now is I'm just turning this garment inside out so that we can press it. We got to locate the design area. Okay, here we are. And we can just dress that right over the board because it's only going to take a moment to add that stabilizer. Okay, I can see my pin is here. So the general area of design is right here. Now, again, I'm going to use that adhesive, right? And why adhesive? It's not mandatory. You can use no-show stabilizer that does not have the adhesive on it. It will function the same. It's just that your hooping skills have got to be good enough that you're not stretching the garment during the hooping process. The whole function of this adhesive no-show mesh is to stop the stretch of the fabric during hooping, because once you are hooped, nothing is moving. I mean, that's the plan, right? That is the plan for sure. And so it's really to give you a little bit of confidence that as you are hooping, you're not stretching that fabric and distorting it so that when it stitches and after, when it's released out of the hoop, that's when puckers can occur. So if you're not super confident in your hooping skills, a fusible can really help you. And then after, like I said later, you'll trim it away. It is permanent, right? So it's going to remain in the embroidery during the embroidery process. All right, now we have that out of the way. And let's turn it over and add our design. All right, just bear with me a minute. I got a lot of stuff going on here. All right, got the hood, and my sleeves are, inside now, but that's okay. I think I can leave them in there. I'm going to try anyway. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. And this is an extra large, so we're going to use the woman's crew. Now notice this curve does not really match, right? This is kind of a wide neck sweatshirt, but it does have that basic curve right here at the bottom. And that's what you are going with. That's what you're going to eyeball and make sure is aligned. Now let's see if we can get this centered under POW so that you can still see. Yeah, that's great. Okay. So we're going to just move that garment so that it's all, oh, no, we don't want to be there. We want to be down here. That's right. So I'm aligning the crosshair with the mark on the item template and the vertical with that pin. And then I'm going to take my template, which is Cheer Coach, and I'm going to position it so that the lettering is right at the bottom of that horizontal line, and my vertical line on the crosshair is aligned with POW. And then I'm ready. I pull that off. Of course, it always wants to stick to it. Oh, that's what we love about that Print and Stick Target template paper. It's got a nice strong adhesive on it, so it won't harm the template. As you can see, there's no harm to it, but it does stick with it nicely. Okay, we can remove that pin, so it's just one less thing to get in the way. And now we're going to, again, do the, can we do that in a 5x7? I don't think so. I think we have to stick with the 8x8. I think the design is a little bit bigger than what we intended. For a 5x7 hoop, I should say. Okay, so let's get those hoop setters in place, and we can put them over here. I'm just going to turn off POW for now. There we go. Now we can see that that's right where it should be. And we'll get our, we have stabilizer on there. Now you're going to see how when stabilizer is already fused to the garment, it makes the hooping process a little bit easier because it's one less loose item to deal with, right? So we're going to dress the board, dress the totally tubular hooping station. We have our hoop setters in place, and I'm just pulling the whole thing over. And I can feel that that's all. I can feel my hoop. See, my hoop setters are in the corner. Not sure if you're seeing that. Let's see, move it here. Here's my hoop setters up here. And my attachment is down in this area here. So I'm going to take my hoop, my top frame, and place it inside the hoop setters. Right? And then just drop it down. And I can see that I'm not perfectly aligned. I'm not that square, but now I'm good. So what if I don't like the position of this? Easy enough. We just lift that top frame. We just move that fabric a little. I mean, it's no sweat, right? And you can feel your frame inside. You know, and templates can sometimes give you the illusion that it's not going to fit in the hoop. But remember, the edge of our design is here at the edge of the H and at the edge of the C, right? This is excess. So as you're hooping, you probably, if you're like me, I focus on this cut, you know, raggedy cut edge and think, oh, that design's not going to fit in that hoop. But sure it is, because you have a 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch extended on this template that is never going to stitch. It's not in the design itself. So forgive yourself. Be easy on yourself, right? Okay. Now, there we go. And we're just in there. Beautiful. And now I'm ready again. Now, I already have my sleeves inside, so I do want to make sure that they're loose and they're not cut in the hoop or caught in the hoop. So here's one. Let's go ahead and get a handle on the other one, see where that wound up. There it is. Okay. So we have all of our sleeves. And now we're going to open this up, our design area. And now we have a hood, right? So even with the hood, I turn that inside out. I want to make sure I have control of all of these extremities, right, of the garment. Sleeve 1 is here. Sleeve 2 is here. And here's the hood. So I put it all together like that. And then use my board to move it over to the machine. And then when I'm at the machine, I open it all up and nest it open. And that's insurance. That just lets you know you're only stitching on one layer, you know, of fabric plus the stabilizer. And that's the key. I know. How many of you, answer in the chat, how many of you have stitched a sleeve to the shirt? Okay, there's Marjorie Hirschberger. Hi, Marjorie. Nice to have you here. You got a blank sweatshirt. So much fun to embroider sweatshirts, right? They're great to wear, and they're pretty easy to embroider. First off, the fiber itself is rather forgiving. It's not a sheer or, silky, slinky fabric that can really challenge you during the hooping process. So, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and tackle it. So let's see. Chris Kavanaugh, you have, and Sandra Martinez, Diane, what does that mean? Oh, I'm not sure what that means, if that's yes or no. I'm going to say that's a yes. Catherine, yes, I love it. So, this is, and Dawn, you've stitched the back to the front. I have, for sure. I definitely have. And then it kind of becomes like a vest or a bib, depending on, how much you have to cut away, right? Okay. All right, next up, let's talk about waffle weave. And waffle weave is not all that different than everything that we've been talking about here. Let's see. I want to make sure we keep our hoop setters together. Okay. So we have a beautiful, first off, let's look at this really pretty collection of thread. So this isn't sold as a collection. It just looks beautiful together, right? We have this really deep navy and an avocado and kind of a burnt orange and then a dark tan and the white. And so what we did with that was we stitched this design for the dart club called the On Target Club, and popular pastime in the winter in many places. And we used a camo waffle weave. So let's take a look at this. Now, first off, we couldn't have really made it any more challenging, could we? We have a pattern, which is, the camo. So what colors would you use that are going to stick out? So that was one choice that we had to be concerned about. And then the other was the waffle weave. Now, waffle weaves have distinct patterns, right? And imagine how easy it would be for stitches to just fall into those valleys and kind of sink in and not be very visible. So we chose to add an applique to put this beautiful design, which is really just a standalone design and lettering, but we put it on an applique because then we didn't have to worry about losing the fine details of the darts or the small lettering in that waffle weave. And we hooped it, of course, in a snap hoop monster. Now notice the design is not centered, and that was done on is centered in the hoop. That was done on purpose because we have this placket here, and we also have the curved neckline. So the embroiderer chose to hoop a little bit further down so that none of the neckline or the placket was captured within the hoop frame itself. And since it's a small design, it's only about 2.5 inches diameter, and we have a 4x4 sewing field here. We knew we had plenty of wiggle room that if we hooped this properly, we'd be able to move the design into position. And of course, we did use our totally tubular, we didn't use our totally tubular. We used the embroiderer's helper, the big helper, to position, find that left chest placement, place the target sticker, and that's how we did it. So on the back, let's go ahead and remove this top hoop so you can see what we did here. And topper, we did use topper. Now, why did we use topper? Well, we wanted a nice, clean satin edge. Often on a waffle weave like this, you're going to have a high chance of seeing what we call a sawtooth satin, meaning it's not a clean finish. But the topper will help you have a pretty good clean finish. And you can see it really is. Here, I'll bring that up even closer so you can get a better look. It is nice and clean. There's no sawtooth going on. And that's because of that topper. On the wrong side of the embroidery, we use that medium soft cutaway just because it's so comfortable next to the skin. And now that it's out of the hoop, we'll take the time to trim around that circle. And when we do, we'll use pinking shears so that we get pretty close, about a 1/4 of an inch outside of that outline, and we'll trim it. And that'll be very comfortable to wear and look really elegant. Well, elegant for camo, right? But it's professional grade embroidery, and that's what we want. Okay, so let me get this out of harm's way. And I wanted to talk about hoodies. Why we did do that one sweatshirt, but now let's go ahead and take a look at a zip front hoodie. And these are so popular, as you know, right? We all love these. Just great. They can be a challenge to embroider because often the embroidery design is split right down the middle, right? Because you have to get into the garment. So this was stitched on our sticky hoop, and we used our peel and stick tear away, obviously, stabilizer. And this garment has been worn and washed once. And I thought you would like to see what happens to that sticky stabilizer. Well, it's still sticking a little bit to the garment, but it has softened, and it's almost next to the skin. It's so comfortable. You can barely feel that there's stabilizer there. Eventually, with multiple washings, that will all go away, all that excess. But in the meantime, still very comfortable to wear. It doesn't look like bulletproof embroidery. It's supple and really lovely, very flattering to wear. So let me show you in Sticky Hoop how we do that. We have a template already positioned on this hoodie. And I only printed one, but there is another half, right? for sure. And we open it up all the way, and pull out those arms. Just get all this out of the way right now because it's not tubular any longer. It's now flat, so it's easier to kind of manage. And then I'm going to get my sticky hoop. And I have a sticky stabilizer in there. And I'm going to remove, and I've patched it. As you can see, we teach this here all the time, how you can conserve. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to align POW with both of the 6s on the hoop, right? So we have a 6 at the bottom and a 6 at the top. And some of you may have adhesive rulers that have the symbols on them, right? And so then you would just align it like with the heart and the heart, right? So just as long as it's aligned with the same thing. And then you're going to take your, of course I did that wrong. Okay. Oh, well, we could do it this way. We'll just turn it around. Okay, so now I'm going to take my garment and I want to align that crosshair with the edge of the zipper, right? I'm making sure that that laser is aligned with the zipper teeth, right? All the way down, nice straight line. And that the horizontal beam is aligned with the horizontal line on the template. And now when I take this over to the embroidery machine, I'm going to position my needle right here and stitch that design. And then I will, take it out, put on another piece you patch up this sticky stabilizer, and then do the other side. That's how easy that's done. So don't fret over those hoodies. It's really easy. PAL helps you line that up and make sure that both sides match beautifully. All right, let me see if there's any questions. I'm talking a lot. Mickey Smith said she walked away and the shirt got caught up. You saved the sweatshirt by putting fabric patches all over. Well, yeah, that good idea. Just really great idea. And let's see, Fuzzy Face Place, you say, just got your first hand towels to try out, waffle weave. Oh, that's a great kind of a practice item to do before you tackle garments, right? And the waffle weave, you're going to learn an awful lot about, the design that you selected and the stabilizer and so forth. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Okay, just want to make sure there are any questions. And Reen Wilcoxon, she stitched a design upside down on a sweatshirt recently. That's disappointing, isn't it, Reen? I know. When we all do it. It happens to every one of us. So yeah. And A. McCarthy, my good friend A. McCarthy, she says, I've done a lot of other bonehead things, but not that one yet. I kind of think A. McCarthy doesn't really do bonehead things, but that's all right. What else do I have to show you? Oh, I do have this beautiful poncho that I want to show you. And this is our ghouls, right? Let's take a look at this. Oh, this is so much fun, this poncho. So look at that. And it's just a poncho. Look, big giant sleeve openings, right? Kind of short sleeves, doesn't go all the way, to the wrist, just goes to the elbow. And this is, I would consider this a minky, to be honest with you. It's stretchy. It has nap on this side, but it's a very low nap. It's not really plush. So I would not use the nap blocker on this. I think that would make it too stiff. And when you wore the garment, this would kind of be bulletproof. So I would just use the water-soluble topper on this. And because of its nice lightweight feel, I would use the no-show mesh fusible. Put that all on the wrong side, and then I'm good to go. And use the same hooping techniques that I've just shown you. So let's see. Okay, wasn't that fun? Those hoop setters are indispensable, I'll tell you. When you are doing bulky things, it is the way to go. So I know that many of you want to know what else is coming up here. Well, I mentioned Reen Wilcoxon. She's going to be a guest here in a couple weeks with Ashley, and then she's going to be back a couple weeks after that. So if you're a Reen fan, keep an eye out here to see when she'll be coming. Of course, we always announce when they're going to be here next, right? And let's see, I'm looking for my PowerPoint. Here we go. Okay. Ashley Jones is going to be back with Software Success. Now, this is on a Tuesday. Remember, she's on the first and third Tuesday of the month doing all software. She's a brilliant woman, and her embroidery skills are beyond compare. So if you use software, and I hope you do, because it makes you a better embroiderer, you should stop by here on the 1st of October at 1 o'clock and watch and see what Ashley has in store. Next up is, we always love if you will like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You help us grow, and that helps us continue to providing content that you find enjoyable and meaningful. And we know we're doing the right thing, right? And like Joanne Banco, she says she loves Ashley's software show. Everybody learns from Ashley. Absolutely. I learned from Ashley. If I can steal myself away from the office while she's live, I do tune in on the computer. Otherwise, I watch, in the evening. Now, Fuzzy Face Patch, Leah, she says, thank you, Eileen. Brand new to machine embroidery, and you have so much to learn. Well, you are in the right place. I'll tell you, Leah, we have a blast here. The title of this show is Between Friends, and truly, we're just sharing embroidery information between friends. So we love that you joined us, and we hope that you'll come back. And there are hundreds of Between Friends videos for you to watch and, to hone your skills on. So I hope that you'll do that. Next week, I am going to be back, and we're going to have a whole lot of fun. It's going to be quiz day and giveaway day. So I hope you'll join me. If you remember, we did it in March, I think, and we had a blast. So please join me. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. And we'll teach something. But really, we're just going to have a whole lot of fun and give away some prizes. I know many of you are waiting to know what is this week's On the House design, and it is available to you in just a moment. But you can go to dzgns.com, and that's where you'll find our free designs. Just go to embroidery, click on free designs, and it'll take you to the entire year's worth of On the House designs. And they'll be there all through 2024. So download them now and take advantage of that. And of course, we love to see what you have been stitching. So please share your projects and use the hashtag #DimeSoLong, Dime on the House, or Dime Exquisite Friend. Exquisite Thread. You could use Exquisite Friends too, but because you are, all of us exquisite, all of you exquisite to us here at Dime. And then we find your projects and we share them right here. So let's take a look at what you have been stitching. Look at those beautiful designs that you all have stitched. I love seeing that. Thank you for sharing. I hope that you'll continue to post your photos. It's just awesome to see what you do with these designs that we share. This week is Hello Autumn, the truck filled with pumpkins, something that you would find at a pumpkin patch or maybe driving down a country road. It does have a lot of different thread changes, but that's what makes it so beautiful. So we hope that you'll enjoy it and stitch it. And we want to see it next week, right? What you've stitched. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'll be back here next week. In the meantime, I hope you'll take advantage of today's special, our Hoop Setters, which are the sponsor of today's show. Bye for now. We'll see you next week.